Filters and effects can instantly change how your art looks. They can make your image softer, sharper, or even magical. In this tutorial, I'll show you different ways you can level up your art using filters on Clip Studio Paint. Stick around till the end for a cookie. On Simple Mode, you can access the filters using this button. You can choose Filter or Effects, and we'll be using both. When you choose one, this window appears. It basically asks you whether you want the filter to be applied on the layer you're currently selecting or merge all layers, and apply it on the merged layer. There are multiple filters and effects we can choose from. By clicking on each effect, a parameter icon shows up, which you can click to alter the effect settings. You can see the before and after by clicking this button. If you click on it, the before shows up, and when you release, click the after shows up. Filters and effects cannot be applied to a vector layer. You either rasterize the layer before applying them or simply apply and click Rasterize when this window shows up. You can apply a glowing effect with simple steps. Duplicate the layer you want to apply it on. In my case, it's the butterflies layer. Move the layer below the original one. Go to Filters, Effects, and apply a Gaussian blur on the duplicated layer. Adjust the blur radius to make the layer more or less foggy. Hit OK when you're done. Back on the original layer, go to Filters and select the sepia filter. Adjust its strength slightly. I'm only using this to give a warmth to the butterflies. Add some dust and sparkles using the spray brush. You can experiment in this step with your chosen brushes. I wanted the effect to be subtle, so I used sparse sparkles. You can barely see them. And that's it. It's a subtle effect, but it still changes what the art looks like. For this effect, I decided to draw a new piece. I had this idea that I wanted the piece to be grayscale, but some parts in color, as if the colors are leaking from those parts. Let's call them windows. So I drew the piece and added colors, then duplicated the layer, and used monotone filter on the upper layer. I blended everything in color, switching between grayscale for value checking. Then using the lasso tool, I carefully selected my windows where I want the colors to pop. I then inverted the selection so that everything but those windows is selected. Then I applied the monotone filter on the selected parts. Now I just finished rendering on the colored layer and added some props like the butterflies and some blood to make the piece pop. For this piece, I was thinking I really wanted to try and apply a glass effect. So I drew a couple hands reaching out to each other and was thinking of making them reach through windows. First, I added random blocks of colors for my background. I tried to choose cohesive colors, but it didn't matter much as I will blur them later. So I went ahead and used a motion blur on this layer in a vertical direction so that colors blend together and give a nicer glass effect. You can test the parameters and use the ones you find most effective. I then drew two oval shapes for the windows, where the glass effect won't be. Then I filled in the glass layer with a light blue color and applied the noise color filter on it. I lowered the opacity of this layer to around 60%. Then I duplicated this layer and switched to studio mode for the filter I want to apply. Now in studio mode, I chose the crystallize effect. You can find this effect by going to Filter, Effect, and Crystallize. For me, I chose slightly large cell size and high randomness. I wanted the glass particles to be a medium size and have random shapes, but you can choose the parameters as you like. When you're done, click OK, and this will apply the effect on this layer. Now lower the opacity of this layer to around 40% and set its blending mode to divide. This was already giving a glass effect, but I wanted to push it even further. To do so, I duplicated the background layer and brought it on top of the glass layer. I then switched over to studio mode to apply the same crystallized filter as earlier on this layer. Then I reduced the opacity of this layer to make it blend better with the previous glass layer. Around 40% was good. I also changed the blending mode to brightness to make some of the glass particles pop. We can consider the effect done, but I went ahead and added some lights and shadows. This is purely out of preference. You can skip this step. I selected random rays of light using the lasso tool and then gently dabbed with the airbrush to create light rays. Then I took a large airbrush and gently dabbed on the opposite side with some dark shadows. Since I wanted a poster type of art, I added some text and made them glow using the first tip. For this idea, I wanted to use an old art piece to create a new one. For this, I just imported the piece on a new canvas, and am going to add my effect on top of it. First, I drew a rectangle. This is where I'll place my text. Then, to add depth, I drew another rectangle below the previous one in a darker color. To make it look shaded, I applied a Gaussian blur to this rectangle and pushed it slightly to the left. I then added my text in a vertical manner, simply by typing each character and then skipping the line. I increased the size so it fits and shows better. And also chose a different font, because I wanted a more fun font. Then I added my other text and used the vertical alignment text tool from Clip Studio to make it read vertically. I also rotated it so it starts from bottom to the top. You can do the same and change the font, size, and direction to achieve a unique look. You can even make a rotated text. Let me know if you want me to make a tutorial on that. Now, merge the text layers onto a raster layer and create a selection from that. This will let you select the text areas easily. Back on the rectangle layers, using a hard eraser, erase the text areas from the first rectangle, then switch to a soft eraser and slightly delete the text areas from the shadow rectangle. Then simply delete or hide the text layer. This will let the artwork behind show on those text areas. Now, duplicate the original art layer. Then go to Filters, Distort, and choose Ripple Effect. Adjust the parameters to your liking. You can even choose a different effect like the wave effect. Now, change the blending mode. You can choose based on your preference. I went with the multiply blending mode, but other modes give different results. I saw this really cool transparency effect on Pinterest, but it was done with Photoshop, so I just had to do it using Clip Studio Paint. First, I imported this old drawing of a Twix bar onto a new canvas. I duplicated this, since we will be needing the original, and the effect would be applied on the duplicated layer. Then, I used the monotone filter on this layer. Then, I added a level correction layer. This step is crucial, as it allows us to mimic the transparency. Push the sliders to the right and look for bright whites and dark shadows. Once done, go ahead and apply a screen blending mode to this layer. Now unhide the original layer, and we're going to shop the upper part to show the inside of the chocolate bar. To achieve this, use a lasso tool and select the part you want to chop. Now draw the inside of the chocolate bar, either on the original layer or a new layer above it. To make it better, I'm going to add back the upper part of the bar. Just duplicate the original layer or import the image again. Then select the upper part and erase everything else. Place this new layer under the effect layer and you're done. If your colors are too bright and saturated, go back to the correction layer and adjust the sliders a bit to the left. This concludes today's tutorial. If you have any questions or want to know more, check the links below. Likes, comments, and subs are mostly appreciated. It helps me reach more people and helps you keep up to date with my posts. Thank you for watching this far. Comment cookie so I know you're special.